Hello everybody and welcome back to Combe Valley Campers. Today we're going to be showing you how to fit a Rusty Lee rock and roll bed into your classic camper van. The tools you're going to need today are as follows: an electric screwdriver, a drill with an assortment of bits ranging from 4mm up to 10mm. You're going to need a 13mm socket and spanner, a right angle to check your kickboard, a knife to unwrap the 1,000 layers of tape and plastic that Rusty Lee put on all their packages, so thanks for that, mate. Some G-clamps or quick clamps, some screws, we've used pan heads in this case, and either a straight bar, a level, or in this case we've used a spirit level. And that's about it. Let's get on with it. Now we have all of the bits unpacked, and thank you very much, Lee, for wrapping them in thousands of bits of plastic and tape and everything. It arrived undamaged, so that's the main aim of that. But yes, now we've got it all unpacked, we can see exactly what we've got. Starting from over this side, this is the kickboard. So this is the area, in fact, is it this side? Yes, this is the area that is screwed down to the floor here, and then this seat base will sit on top of that. And then you can put whatever covering you want on there. We'll be putting a ply board and it will match the rest of the furniture we're putting in, and you can use that to put a couple of speakers in as well. This is the seat base, and you can determine that by these hoops here, because when the seat's out into a bed, sorry Ali, when the seat's out into a bed, these three parts will sit on the top of this bit here. This is the backrest and the two hinge sets. Now you can see what they've kindly put on here is A, B and C, and on this one we've got 1, 2 and 3. So on the parts, yes, on these two parts we've got 1, 2. Where's the other bit? Yeah, down here. So 1, 2 and 3 on all of the parts, so we can bolt them together nice and easily. And then last bit, the bed boards. You can order the bed with or without these, I believe, and you can fix them on in any way you want. We are going to be using a threaded insert in here, a clasp, and we'll cover that later. But for the meantime, let's get all these pieces into an order and start bolting them back together. To do so, you're going to need a 13mm, either a pair of 13mm spanners or a 13mm socket and spanner. So let's get on with it. So in terms of which order you are mounting these points, first things first is have a bolt with the washer. You're then going to place it through the large bar, which is the hinge. You then add a washer. You're then going to pass the bolt through the backrest. Add another washer. You're then going to pass the whole assembly and the bolt through, through the seat base. Add one more washer. Then your captive nut and tie it all up together. As you saw then, each of the bolt points are numbered. So when it comes to bolting it up, it's fairly self-explanatory really. Bit of common sense, a 13mm socket and a 13mm spanner, and you'll be fine. When you come to tighten them up, don't torque them up. They want to have a bit of movement so all the hinges can move nice and smoothly. For the purposes of showing you on the video, we've just cable tied it together, just so it will stand, because it's quite an awkward beast. And I would actually suggest you do that when it comes to manoeuvring it into the van. Get a couple of cable ties on it, just to keep it nice and static, and it'll be a lot easier to handle. So what we're going to do now is cut that piece of ply over there. That's going to be the new floor for this van, and then we shall lay the seat on, see where we need to bolt it up, and start drilling some holes, make a real mess. Let's go. The Rusty Lee bed is going to be going in our Type 25 project, which you can see more of if you click on the link right up here. I think somewhere up there. So it came to us freshly painted, completely stripped shell, and now we've done sound deadening, we've prepared it, cleaned it, lots of good stuff. Next stage is making a floor for it. Now we are going to be using an 8x4 sheet of ply in 12mm. I believe you can buy the boards. Today we're going to make it. Ideally, if you can get one, you want a 10x5 sheet of ply. I ordered all the wood for this during lockdown, so I could only get certain sizes. So I've got a 10x5 sheet. We are going to be, and this floor is about 5x5 wide. So we are going to be putting, well, when you're building a van with an 8x4 sheet, you can either have your remaining strip down one side at the back, or, at the side or at the back. We are choosing to have the board at the back in this van because we're going to have the strip up this end, because the bed is going to be sitting on the main piece of floor that side, and we'll put the remaining strip here where there'll be less pressure. And I say that because if you were to have your small strip at this end, your bed would be resting on it, and potentially you'd have a difference in levels of the floor when you're building it. If you're building a van with a full interior down one side, I would suggest you put that remaining strip of wood down this side. So yes, it's just a case of measuring your square, measuring your floor, and then you can cut it with whichever means you have. We're going to be cutting our wood today with a circular saw. We did have a chat with our cabinet builder next door, but because of the width, he can't fit that wood on his large table saw. So just a couple of points to note: we are not bringing the floor all the way to this point because we have yet to put our ply door cards on, and we are not bringing it all the way to this edge because we're going to be putting on a small aluminium retaining strip on this edge here. When you come to measure the front, be aware that there are a couple of lumps and bumps that you might want to just do some cutouts. So I know we're on the sound deadening here. This is the Dead Mat Duo. You can see in one of our other videos how we're fitting this. But we've got one lump here and another one just here. And if you were to put your complete straight edge down this side, you'd actually see it sits proud or raised. So if you've got a jigsaw or something similar, you just want to nip out these two little raised pieces of floor, just so your new wood floor will sit flush up against this wall here. And that's about it. So I'm going to get measuring. If you want the measurements, we shall leave them in the comment section down below. And yeah, you can go ahead and cut your wood up, but that's where we're going to go now. We're going to go and chop our floor. we've set the bed into place in an ideal sort of location where we want to put it. And the first thing we can see is, well, there's a couple of things you've got to aim for, is when the bed's folded out, you've got to have it completely level with the rear bulkhead, the platform at the back. On a bay window and a split, it's slightly easier because when you fold the bed out, it's exactly the right level. Whereas on a T3, Type 25, you've got to make a platform at the back so it stays level. But what we are going to do now will be able to enable us to make a level bed as best as possible, and there's going to be some adjustment on the brackets as well. So if we need to just tweak it left or right or up and down, there is going to be a bit of movement in there. It comes with the supplied washers and fixings. So once we're happy with the location, we drill through, put the nice big washers on both sides, and then the bed is permanently fixed. We are not permanently fixing it today because obviously we've got loads more work to do, but for the purposes of this video, we shall get it fixed to the point where it's operational and we can sit on it. Where we are going to be mounting the brackets, as you saw in a previous video on this series, we put loads of sound deadening in. We're just going to carve that away so we can put the brackets in the place where we want to, and then we'll open the bed out, leveling it up, and then we can mark the holes as to where we want to drill them, put the brackets in, and then see where we go from there. Let's get on with it. First things first, cut away the existing sound deadening. So what I'm doing now then is just removing the bits of sound deadening. I've already had the bed up once and realised I've needed to take out a bit more. The stuff that we've fitted on already, obviously because that's nice and new, that's quite easy to take off, but to get down to the metal we want to drill through, it means we've got to take off some of the original factory sound deadening, which is old and brittle and not particularly easy to remove. So have a bit of patience. It will come off. Okay, that's one side. And I'm taking off probably a bit more than I need, to be honest, but we want that adjustment. So we don't have to make more than one hole each side. I want that adjustment. So yeah, taking off a bit more sound deadening than I need each side, and then we'll open the bed up, clamp it out, make sure it's 100% level, and then mark and then drill. So we have glamorous assistant Dan with us now as well. I know. Next stage then, we're gonna fold the bed out as if it's in the bed position. We're gonna level it using our spirit level. You don't have to use a spirit level, but this is what we've got today. We can put some clamps on it, and then once the bed is level in a position that we're happy with, then we can mark the brackets, the holes for the brackets, and then we can drill them in. And that's pretty much it. So let's open the bed out now, put the bracket on, and I've got two people here purely because without anything mounted, it is a bit awkward and a little bit wobbly. So let's get on that. After messing around with it now, we've got exactly what we wanted to achieve. We've got this bed level, 100% in the position that we wanted to, and we've got the front of the bed frame here at the 90 degree. Now, and only now, once you've got that done, and you've got that 90 degree done as well, you can actually mark your brackets, get the hole drilled, and then what we're going to do as well, we're going to drill some holes through this bottom point here, and then we'll put just some pan head screws in it just to keep that in the one position. That's not going to be its final fixing, it's just to keep that in that point. But the most important one here is getting the position right so we can drill those two holes to those brackets, get those bolts in, and then we can make our final fit. So we've got the bed in the right position, got my Sharpie to mark the hole, And as kind of a rough guide, the bracket is resting nicely against a ridge of metal just in there. It's just a factory pressing of metal. And this bracket is about level with the top of that bulkhead. So I'm gonna mark my hole in there. And do the same the other side. And get them drilled out. We've made both the holes. We've got these two supplied bolts and washers to go in. I'm gonna have Dan underneath in the wheel arch. You don't have to crawl around on the floor for this. You can literally get your hand in, into the wheel arch. Dan's gonna be under there, and we'll get these both in and tightened up. Those two back bolts are in and tight. We're happy with the bed position. Last job is to fit this board in here, and we're going to be using a 4mm drill bit to drill some holes, and then I'm going to be using some of these small pan head screws just to tie it in to the floor temporarily, and then once we've finished the floor, the walls and all the other bits and pieces for this, those holes will be in the position we want them, so we'll be able to put the bed in permanently at that point. So 4mm drill bit, get straight on it. And there we have it, it's all done. Not the worst to install. It's not a very difficult thing to install really. Just got two big holes to drill, and just make sure you measure and measure and measure again before you actually go ahead and put some holes in your van. Thanks so much for watching, we've enjoyed it. We'll come back to this bed and this van again very soon, and we'll finish off building the back base and putting these boards down. If you liked the video today, please make sure to subscribe, and also follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to us obviously on YouTube, and follow us on Instagram as well. If you like this bed, you can buy it at our web store. That is www.coomvalleycampers.co.uk/products, and you can buy this bed in the 3/4 width or the 4 width, or if you need it at a custom width, especially for your interior, do get in touch and we'll arrange that for you. Again, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.